Hello, Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC members. My name is Ryan Parsons. I'm the Vice President with the Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDC. As our region continues to respond to COVID-19, we wanted to take an opportunity to connect with Job Service North Dakota and get a little bit of insight into the frequently asked questions surrounding unemployment insurance. To help us out with that, we're joined by two experts from Job Service. We have Lisa Garcia, and then we also have Mark Butland.
My name is Mark Butland, and I'm the Associate Director of Unemployment Insurance at Job Service North Dakota, and my primary role is operations of the benefit and tax programs.
And I am Lisa Garcia, the UI Tax and Field Services Manager, overseeing the quarterly reporting, corporate officer exemptions, yearly tax rate notice process, anything surrounding unemployment insurance and the collection of contributions.
Thank you both for joining us. So what we'll do today is we're going to go through 10 frequently asked questions from the business community. These were all gathered through our 1,100 plus Bismarck Mandan Chamber EDT members. What we did is we took the feedback received and we condensed those down into 10 questions. Looking forward to your response, and hopefully this is able to help our chamber members throughout the region. Are employees that lay themselves off from their employer who is open and operating due to the fear of the virus eligible for unemployment?
It's a good question. But first, what I'd like to just touch on is for unemployment purposes, employees don't lay themselves off. Layoff is an action taken by the employer when there isn't any suitable work available for the worker. So in this case, if an employee makes the decision to leave their work or stay away from the work due to fears of COVID-19 and there's no suitable work, or excuse me, there is suitable work available for them, they would need to show us that they left on the advice of a medical professional, or the conditions are such that, you know, a reasonable person would have taken the same action.
Is it true that part-time employees who file unemployment are also entitled to the $600 from the government? Would this double their pay?
Excellent question. All claimants are eligible to receive the $600 FPUC supplement for each of any weeks of unemployment benefits paid out to them. It is possible they could receive more than they would have when they were working when you look at that $600 top up. But the way the program is set up, it is essentially payable for, you know, for any week of unemployment that we pay out.
If we have to lay off employees due to a lack of work, but still need them for around 10 hours a week, how does that affect their unemployment claim?
Again, a good question. So employees, you know, they can file an unemployment claim due to the reduced hours of work available for them. You know, that's an allowable reason for filing. It's important to note an unemployment claimant, you know, they can earn up to 60% of their weekly benefit amount. And the weekly benefit amounts range from $43 to $618 a week, depending on how their base period earnings, how much they earned in that period of time. And they can do that. They can earn up to 60% without any reduction in their weekly unemployment benefit. If they earn over the 60%, but less than their weekly benefit amount, then we're looking at a dollar for dollar reduction. If they earn over their weekly benefit amount for the week, then the claimant is not eligible to receive unemployment payments. It's important to note, though, that claimants are required to work all hours that are available for them as long as it's suitable work. So they can't limit the hours they're working, you know, to stay under 60% or anything like that. If the employer has 10 hours, 12, 15 hours of work and there's no reason they couldn't do it, they need to take those hours.
Is that a challenge that you've heard of some employers encountering?
It can be, you know, but again, you know, if the employers are running into a problem with somebody limiting their hours, they should let us know, because we can put a stop on their claim, you know, and until they start working all the available hours, they would not receive anything from us.
Does the Family and Medical Leave Act have any impact on unemployment eligibility or process?
Generally, unemployment recipients must be able and available to accept suitable work. So FMLA could impact their ability to work, But we look at these on a case-by-case basis because there could be other things they could do even with the condition that's keeping them out on the FMLA. So that, and again, is really a case-by-case basis decision.
This member had a question of if an employer feels the need to lay off an employee that has asthma or a pre-existing respiratory condition, is this an acceptable reason?
So, a layoff is due to lack of suitable work for the claimant. So if the employer doesn't have suitable work for the employee, something they can do, we would view it as a layoff, especially, if it's something where it's, they can't work because of either, like you say, a pre-existing condition that would be impacted by COVID, but they're returning to that employer, once the pandemic is over or they're able to go back. We would view that as a layoff and that the employee's job attached to that employer.
The Bismarck Manhattan Chamber EDC is lucky to have a diverse range of industries and business types within our organization. One of those is independent contractors. What fields they operate in, greatly diverse. They did submit questions, and the one that came out as priority is independent contractors are included in recent legislation as eligible for federal pandemic unemployment compensation, or the FPUC. Are there any details independent contractors should be aware of when connecting with job service?
We touched on the eligibility for FPUC in question 2, but just to reiterate, all claimants, whether they're, qualifying for regular unemployment or in the case of independent contractors, they would be, looking at what's called the PUA program, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which is very similar to DUA, which is the Disaster Unemployment Assistance. It's been a long time since we've run that program, but it's something like we did during all the flooding, and that is a program that's designed to essentially pay benefits to workers who aren't your traditional employees, employee-employer relationship, your independent contractors, business owners, and folks like that. They, again, would be eligible for the $600 FPUC top up, for any weeks of benefits that, we would pay out to them. So it's important that, the independent contractors, they're looking at the PUA program, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. Now, some folks, when they work, they could be both an independent contractor in one type of work they're doing, but also work as an employee for an employer in a totally different job. Now, those folks we would have to look at to see if they would qualify for regular unemployment first. Your typical independent contractor, and if it's always 1099s that they're getting, they can go pretty much straight to the PUA application that's on jobsnd.com. But for those who have a mix of regular wages and independent contractor earnings, we probably are going to need to have them file a regular claim first to see if they're eligible there, because if you are eligible for regular unemployment, that's the claim you have to take first. These other programs are what they call essentially programs of last resort. So for folks that can't qualify for regular. So if they aren't, if somebody who has a mix isn't eligible for the regular, then they're most likely going to be eligible for the PUA benefits as long as the reason that they can't work is related to COVID-19. And again, any weeks that we pay out in any of these programs, the person's going to be eligible to receive the FPUC supplemental payment, the $600 top up.
Just to confirm for those taking this in, it is a one or the other scenario. You're either going to be using traditional unemployment or the PUA program. Is that correct?
You can't receive benefits from both at the same time, but you could potentially exhaust a regular claim and still be eligible for a PUA claim, depending on where in the disaster period we are when you run out of regular benefits. Because the other thing with the regular benefits, There's the extension. It's a 13-week extension that is available for regular benefits. So, they would go through that first before they would get to PUA if they were eligible for the regular. So a lot of this is just timing as to when things happen, but there's the potential, but they just can't receive from both at the same time.
Are there changes to deadlines or unemployment insurance claim reporting requirements?
There have been no changes to the response deadlines for claim information requests that the UI claims team would be sending out for fact-finding or a response. However, there was an executive order that the 2020-1 Employer's Contribution and Wage Report has been moved to a deadline of June 30th. Typically, that first quarter report and contributions are due by April 30th, but that has been extended to June 30th with no penalty and no interest assessment.
If I need to temporarily shut down my business due to a possible COVID-19 contamination or quarantine at the worksite, can I receive a relief of benefit charges?
One of the governor's executive orders, essentially for rated employers, all benefit charges are going to be pooled and not charged to individual employer accounts. Now, it's important to note at this time, it doesn't extend to employers that have elected reimbursing as their method of financing benefit charges. So we're looking at rated employers only for pooling any benefit charges.
Could you give an example of rated employers?
Okay, a rated employer is someone who's going to have a tax rate calculated every year based on their experience in the system versus a reimbursing employer. And reimbursing method is limited to certain types of employers, typically nonprofits, government, things like that. And those folks, instead of paying us contributions every quarter, they would pay us dollar for dollar for any benefits that we actually paid out on claims that they were liable for.
Is there a difference between a temporary layoff and a furlough?
For unemployment purposes, we don't treat those any differently. We look at, it's a layoff, lack of work layoff situation. What we're going to look at is the person returning to that employer or not, to determine whether they're job attached or not. But for unemployment purposes, really layoff and furlough are the same.
So for employers, as they need to make those difficult decisions, does an employee need to be informed at the time of being laid off of whether or not they will be rehired at the appropriate time? Or is that something that the employer can determine in due time?
They don't have to provide us a specific date or anything, but if their plan is that when this is over with, that they want to bring the people back, that would be sufficient. And if they say no, this person's just never coming back, well, they can indicate that on their notice of claim, because it'll be the claimant initially who's asked during the claim filing, are you returning to the employer? And depending on how they answer that, that'll be included on the notice of claim, and then the employer can, if they agree with the reason, or that whether the claimant is coming back or not, if they agree that with it, then they don't have to respond to the notice of claim. If they disagree, then they should respond with that information back to us on the notice of claim to say, say if the person said, yes, I'm going back, and the employer says, I just can't take them back. I don't think, I'm going to have enough business for quite a while, to bring this person back on board, then they should let us know that, and we'll mark them as non-job attached. It's important at this point to note that, as part of the governor's executive order, for unemployment, that work search at this time has been waived until conditions are such that it would make sense for someone to have to go out and look for work.
If Chamber EDC members and regional businesses are wanting more information, where should they go?
For questions regarding benefit claims, I would have them call 701-328-2866. That is the employer line into the claim center.
Anybody that has any questions regarding their quarterly filings, their contribution payments, penalties, interest, they can call 701-328-2814.
On behalf of Job Service, I'd like to thank you very much for having us participate in this question and answer session today, and I hope your members find it valuable. One thing I would like to say in addition is, you know, the situation is fluid. There's a lot of things that are still being finalized, and I would encourage members to check the frequently asked questions page that we have on our website, and that's www.jobsnd.com.
Thank you both. Greatly appreciate it. Chamber EDC members, regional businesses, please do take in all this information. And if you have any questions, please contact the hardworking team over at Job Service North Dakota.